knowing that we didn't learn in church. We formed to scare people from tapping into their true power, and also to keep them bound to the idea of death. Like, death is such a scary thing. 𝐕𝐥𝐸. Also going to share a little tidbits about ancestral magic and ancestral divination. Just like magic, I'm attracted. I get everything I want 'cause I attract. You guys that do not know who I am Minister Ashley. I am a biblical researcher, teacher, and decoder. So take that the way how you want to take it. But anyways, let's get back into this video. So first, my first real journey into really working with ancestors, or really tapping into my ancestors, I started to maybe about like last year. Well, first of all, let me back up and say that I have dreams before my family, especially the divine feminine archetypes in my family, like the women in my family before they would pass on, the ones that I had a relationship with, such as my grandmother, my great aunt, my great cousin, those ones that I had a relationship with before they would pass. I would have dreams about them before they would pass. Before the women in my family would get sick, I would have like dreams about them. So that was something to get used to, but it helped me to segue into where I'm at now, working with my ancestors. So recently, for you guys that may be a part of FD 1111 Ministries, either on Instagram, TikTok, or on YouTube, you would have seen a video about my mother recently transitioning on to be on the ancestral team on the other side. So yeah, that has been a journey for myself and my family. And when I start talking about it, I found myself fidgeting. So if I'm fidgeting with something, it's because it's still a sensitive topic. But in this video, I first will take you guys to my hometown. And I'm not, exploring or whatever. I'm just really showing you footage of the ancestors that I know of in Charlottesville, Virginia. That's where I'm from initially. And it was like a surprise. We were just traveling to go visit my mother, because at that time she was in a nursing home and we were going to go visit her. But come to find out that our family was having a family reunion. When we went there, they were giving a presentation. The Historical Society at UVA was, they were giving a presentation, and they were taking people on the tour of what are some of our ancestors in Penn Park, that were unmarked graves, but they confirmed they are our ancestors buried there. I will insert some footage here, and that's me there with my oldest son and the presenter. He took us there so we could see the graves, and they're unmarked, and for us to really connect. And I had the opportunity to connect with those ancestors I didn't even know I had at all. And it was an emotional situation, but I was able to gather some of like the stones and some of the dirt. And the reason why in each one of these situations that I share with you guys, I do gather like something from the property, from the actual site where they are in-house. Their bodies have been there for any amount of time, and that is a way how to connect to the energy of your ancestors. And I always suggest you do pray over whatever you may be taking from a gravesite, because you could pick up on other entities and energies. Speaking of which, I received some really good information. I have one last vlog from the Christian Witches convention in New Orleans, but one of the well, he wasn't really a teacher, but he is a teacher, but he wasn't actually teaching there, but he did take us to a site. He gave us some really great knowledge about graves, on how you enter into a grave, how you should conduct yourself. You don't want to make sure you take energy back with you, because entities are looking for a host to connect to. So keep that in mind whenever you are even visiting your specific ancestors. You want to make sure you're not picking up on any other entities that may be lurking about. So my plan is with the soil is to have it on my ancestor altar. And with that specific soil, I do not know what ancestors they are. They have like a list of possible ancestors that are buried there, but they don't know for sure. So that will just be a general, and I don't really have an urn, but I'll have a special dedicated container. And when I say container, I'm like something that's silver, copper, something that is a good housing station for them. Now, moving on to my grandparents, I had the opportunity to go visit my grandparents, and it was also another emotional experience. I did not know exactly where they were buried, but I had the opportunity of seeing a whole lot of my other ancestors buried in that same lot. It was outside of the church from my mother's and my grandmother's and my grandfather's church, and a lot of family members were also buried there. So I was able to grab some soil from my grandfather's as well as my grandmother's gravesite, and also place some flowers as an offering. Another thing I forgot to mention, at the other gravesite, I did leave an offering. Whenever you're taking something from anywhere, you should give a retribution, especially when it comes to like the grave, or you're asking something a favor. You need to give something in return. It's give and take. It's the law of even exchange. Okay, so I'll give an update. Okay, I'll give an update. All right, on what I decide to house them in. I do have a jar right here. If you have not seen my thrifty Halloween and thrift shop witchy haul, then go check the video out. It will be listed up here or either down in the description. So this is going to be for one of my ancestors. I'm not sure exactly which one, but something like this. And you see how sturdy it is and how nice it is. I really like this, but it will be something like that for all of them. So moving on to, I will also show you my ancestor altar. It's a small one right now, but moving on to the transition of my mother. So she had been sick for quite some time. Her health was dwindling, but I knew, in a way, I knew that it was going to be soon, because I didn't think it was going to be that soon, though. I felt like I had a little more time, but I had dreamed about her a couple years ago, but a recent dream, but I didn't really want to acknowledge. You sometimes you have inklings or you have warnings, but you just don't. You want to think the best, pretty much. So anyways, we had a beautiful ceremony, and I will insert some footage and some clips here. My mother, everybody knew Bobby. That was her nickname, Bobby, in Charlottesville, Virginia. Everybody knew her. A warm, welcoming energy, infectious smile. And yeah, so I will insert some footage, but we had a celebration. We celebrated her life. That's what she wanted, and we honored that. And we had so much fun that we even played her favorite game afterwards, bingo. And one of the callers that would call for one of the locations my mother would visit, like over 20 years ago, he was there. He worked at the funeral home, and that was like an honor, and a lot of family members came and we celebrated. It rained that entire time that we were up there, but it was a light energy. And when they lowered her down into the ground, I got some of that grave dirt as well from where she's resting at. And so with this dirt, it's not only a physical connection in housing the energy of the ancestor, and even the vibration of the property, like all of the stories that have been told in that one area. There's so many possibilities. This is my perception, okay? That you can use this soil to connect to your ancestors, along with, photos, images, and stuff. But you can use it in a myriad of ways for protection. I'm a textile person, so I like to hold on to things. Even holding on and receiving visions and information. It's a medium between the two. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Dirt is a high vibrational substance that can be used in rituals. So this would just be like a physical representation beyond just having photos. It's that actual tangible substance that I feel connected to. So here you will see, inserting the images and footage, my small ancestor altar. So my ancestor altar is small right now, but as my practice grows, so will my altars grow, as a lot of my altars have grown. So with this ancestor altar, I have my grandmother and some of the things that she gave to me that were very sacred. Excuse me. I also have her thumbprint on a necklace, and then my mother's thumbprint is coming really soon, and I have photos of them, and I have a libation, which is just water for right now. And I'm thinking about setting out some food on those plates. Once again, refer back to that Witchy thrift shop in Family Dollar Haul, where you will see a lot of the items that I got from, the thrift shop, and as well from the dollar store. But I may or may not set out live food. I may just use fake food, possibly, because I don't want to, draw pests. With my personal belief, if you have not seen on my other video, on my other channel, a video about messengers of God, how God uses insects in nature to communicate with us, I've taken a vow not to harm insects or animals. So therefore, like when I draw in if I was to set food out and draw pests, I don't want to do that, because I have no real way besides like some drastic measures to get rid of them, because I'm not going to kill them, but like doing a whole lot of extras. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. So therefore, I don't feel comfortable with setting out food. If it was outside altar, like away from my house, then I would do that. But so I think I would just use some fake food just to represent some of their favorite things, which is lemon pound cake for my mother, and for my grandmother's sweet potato pie. Those would be like the two things. So I'm just going to have to find like a plastic replacement, which is perfectly fine. You don't have to use, in my personal opinion, I don't think I have to use a physical item, like the actual food itself. I think that knowing the personalities of my grandmother and my mother, they would just be honored just with having that area set up for them. I have fresh flowers, and I have running water, representing the spirit, like the spirit of life that is continuously moving. And I want that continual connection with them to keep flowing, and for them to keep, sending signs and synchronicities to me. Another thing that I did do at the going home celebration, in the casket, I had the funeral director print out a picture of myself and my sister and all of my children. And I wrote a note on there, and I invited my mother to send me signs and synchronicities, and to come visit me in my dreams and come visit me. So I opened up that avenue for her to be able to communicate with me. With this video, sharing it's therapeutic, at least for me. And hopefully it's therapeutic for other people. One thing I said in the other video on my other channel about your loved ones, they join your ancestor team. So it's not really a loss, it's a gain. They have even more power in the spiritual realms than what they do in the physical, because in physical realms they have physical limitations, but in the spiritual realms there's no limitations. Okay, so although my mother and my grandmother, towards the ends of their life, they lost a lot of their strength and memory, but in the glorified body, to be absent in the body is to be present with the Lord. So they have full-on power. They can do things that they couldn't do in their physical bodies. They are feeling a higher vibration of emotion, because they were already high vibrational anyway. And I feel actually sort of kind of happy, so it's one more on the team. And if you are struggling with grief, I can't tell anybody how to process grief, but that is one thing that brought me some peace. When my grandmother passed, when she transitioned, that was a number of years ago. I couldn't go to her funeral. The last two funerals I went to, it was very heavy for me. And I used to suffer with, like, depression runs in our family, a little depression and panic attacks. So I couldn't attend her funeral. I just wasn't mentally and emotionally ready. But however, with my mother's funeral, not only my depression is, thank the Most High, it's gone, and my panic attacks, I don't even have panic attacks anymore. I can maybe make a video about that, like how I was able to transmute a lot of those situations into power. You let me know. But anyways, I was able, mentally and emotionally able, knowing that we didn't learn in church. We learned about like the glorified body, which I'm processing as the ancestor. The glorified body is the ancestor, that Paul talks about in the New Testament. But we weren't taught that in church. We were taught the ancestors were demons. But that's not the case at all. Okay? And a lot of those ideas were formed to scare people from tapping into their true power, and also to keep them bound to the idea of death. Like, death is such a scary thing. And death, to me, I have transformed through my idea of death. It has been one of those things that's been fascinating but also scary to me. That was also one of the things about with my panic attacks too. I will have to do a video. Maybe I'll do a video if people are interested about, panic, fear, all of that. But a lot of it spawned from religious programming. And I felt like I was going to go to hell, or felt like I was doing something so bad and like God was going to punish me, or what if the world ends, the rapture. I have a short video, a couple short videos about the rapture on my other channel. But anyways, so with understanding these practices and really getting back to those nuggets of truth that have been suffocated out of our systems, it's still there a little bit, It's time to awaken it so we don't have to fear. We do not have to be prisoners of fear. It's nothing but another part of life. Death is another part of life. Look at the cycle of the tree. The leaves that fall, that break down, they become fertilizer, nutrients for the roots that therefore supports the tree, and the cycle reproduces itself all over again. So I hope this video was helpful to someone out there, knowing that your loved ones, they're on the other side, they're rooting for you, they're sending you love, and you have more strength on the other side. They're no longer held captive to this physical restraints of the body and of this physical 3D. They 5D and above, they looking down on the situation and give you insight and inspiration and send you positive energy. All right, so many blessings. If you have any questions, just leave them down below. Don't forget my book, Amazon, and both of these are currently on Etsy, Instagram, and TikTok. Coming soon. If you don't have the hard copy, which this was my first oracle deck I created several years ago, but I will have a digital download version that you can print out yourself, or you can just, I don't know, however way you want to use them. But anyways, I'll have them really soon. The shop, I'm reopening up a lot of the items that I took off the market for a period of time for the holiday season, so keep an eye out for that. And just to let you guys know, for the Awaken magazine, I did not do an edition for the fall equinox, just because of everything that was going on with my mom. So I did want to do a Halloween one. It was going to be a Witchy Halloween one. It was going to be awesome, but that's fine. Everything happens for a reason. So I guess I will just have to pick it up for the solstice. So if you want to submit to that, you can also submit at the Awakened Magazine online. Yeah, so I hope I covered everything. I'm just chatting. Just check out the other videos. Like, share, and subscribe, and peace. And speaking of which, you can go get my latest book, The Bible's Hidden Divination and Magic. A lot of necromancy, blood magic. I mean, all different things related to the Bible, magic, and divination you can find in here. Now, this is a good resource for to first solidify the fact that biblical magic and divination was practiced in the Bible.